It's funny. It's funny sometimes when us dads, we go through life being told, hey, be the financial provider, be the protector, kind of be there for the kids. And you're going through life and you're doing all the things and you're doing your best. And then you realize you have a certain perspective thrown at you that you're doing it all wrong. That literally what kids really want from you as a dad is almost a 180, almost has to be redefined. This specifically just happened to me. So I was doing what I thought was the right thing. Me as a shared parent, I get custody of my kids about half the time. On one of the vacations, I was like, all right, let's go to Kalahari, right? Let's go to this water park. It's super expensive. At the price of Kalahari in Pennsylvania, which is an amazing water park, you could probably still go to like a Mexico or a destination vacation, probably out of the country. But sure, let's go to Kalahari. Let's drive 3-4 hours in the snow and let's have a great time in an indoor water park. So what did I do? I did what every dad does, is you show up an hour early and get the early pass, you get all the cool lunches. And I realized that, looking back after we left on the way home, just talking about how much fun we had, it wasn't about all the stuff that I thought was so important. The upgraded lunches, going to the water park an hour early. It was about all the quality moments that happened in all the times that didn't even have a price tag put on them. Specifically the car ride there, having the best time, singing all the songs, right? Playing all the games, actually getting to connect with them and speak to them, not letting them on their iPads, imagine that, for 3-4 hours, and really connecting. All those conversations and intimate moments led to so many more, future quality time moments and things to look back on. That was one huge piece. I don't know how many kids you guys listening or watching out there have. Not to drop the dime on mine. Sometimes when you're all sharing a bathroom, things happen in the bathroom that make it not usable, and the kids kind of, cause a ruckus. So that turned out to be an amazing story, right? Can't even use the bathroom in the room. You have to go into the hallway or whatever it is. So all the littlest things that had nothing to do with all the money that I had spent, all the planning that I had done, those were the things that really became the best and the most memorable moments from our trip. And it made me realize, it gave me a better perspective. And that was like a micro example. So I kind of applied it to the macro of being a dad. And I was like, you know what do my kids actually really want from me? Because, again, I was raised, don't have emotions, be the protector, be the provider. And a lot of that stuff, as a girl dad, my two daughters, now they're 9 and 7, I don't even know if they want that stuff. Of course, being able to financially provide and keeping your family safe and, all that stuff, being a protector is super important. But what did my kids really want? And then I had the realization that for my kids, I was doing it all wrong. The three things that I noticed that they really wanted was quality time. They didn't want me just there physically. They wanted me actually in there, in it, right? The second thing was they just want to be heard. They want to be able to speak, tell me about their day, just communicate throughout whatever we're doing, whether it's going away to Kalahari, which we still had a great time, or tell me about their day. They just want me to listen, not infuse my opinion, not speak over them because I'm the big know-it-all wizard behind the curtain. They just want me to listen. That was the second thing. And the third thing, what I realized, oftentimes this is true in relationships as well, to do the exact opposite. And I'm going to go into exactly why, what that even means. How does your kid tell you something to do the opposite? And why I found that was actually what they wanted. The first one of being quality time, they want to be actually in it, right? I'm just calling it like in it, doing the thing versus just there physically. So it's so easy to get caught up with, we're going on a vacation, we have some time at night to watch some TV, whatever it is, soccer games, dance, etc. Just being there physically, I think that's something that has to be completely redefined in terms of being a present, intentional dad. Now, what do I mean by that? It's really simple to me. I think there's been so much focus on, you got to show up, you got to be there, you got to be the dad that's there, right? For all the different things, for all the sports, for all the activities, for all the school things, for all the homeworks, right? Especially me, when I have them in the morning before they go to school for the breakfast, getting them ready. But physical, to me, just opens the door. Once you get through the door, there's a whole world of quality time and presence that's really more than just the physical. Physical, to me, has been like the macro of presence, meaning like if you're a great dad, you're just there, physically. And what I realized is that actually is just like the start of the game, right? That's just like the first inning. After that, it's, are you intentional? Are you in it and doing the things with them? Are you attentive? Are you technology adverse? Meaning like, are you putting away your technologies? I still struggle with technologies, right? If you're an entrepreneur or a business owner listening or watching, you have to be on your technology, especially, God forbid, you're in sales, right? If you don't answer the phone, what happens? They go to the next guy and you lose the sale. So I realized on the present side, right, for the quality time stuff, to be in it, to be doing the thing with them, that's what they really wanted. They didn't want necessarily, of course, all kids want cool things, right? But they don't know. Little 7 and 9-year-old little brains that I love very much. They don't know that Kalahari versus just going, tubing on a weekend in the snow, or going, rock climbing or escape rooms, or just having a dance party, putting on YouTube and just learning all these wild TikTok dances as a 44-year-old man with little girls. That's all they want. They want you to feel like you're there, you're in it, you're doing it with them, and you actually care. You don't even have to like it. It kind of makes it more fun when my kids know that I actually don't like what we're doing, because by doing that, they see, all right, Dad, he's going above and beyond. He cares about me so much that he's willing to meet me. Now, granted, a 9 and 7-year-old are probably not thinking this in their brains, but he's willing to meet me where I am and love on me, because all kids just want to feel loved. So many adults get caught up. I mean, you don't have to be like a Freudian psychologist, right? You get caught up in all the stages. There's so many different theories about how you grow up and how that affects you developmentally. But kids just want to be loved on. So what's the best way to love on a kid? You meet them where they are. That whole statement or comment or theory. Meet them where they are. Do the thing, which is like wherever they are, meet them there, and kind of, whether it's the Roblox or watching whatever videos. If I meet them where they are, they feel like I care about what they like. They feel loved on. And that's what I realized, the first, most paramount. That's what they actually really want. Of course, you could set up all the cool things, all the, vacations and all that, but the kids really want you there, in it with them, doing the thing. Now, the second thing is I realized my kids wanted for me to, besides meeting them where they were and just being present, they want to feel heard. So before I get into what that actually means, make sure, guys, go in the description, click the link. So I realized there were things that I probably thought I was doing really well in fatherhood, but things I need to work on. So I actually created an assessment for myself to see what I was good at and to see, kind of what I needed to improve. Call it the anchor assessment. 5 pillars of being an amazing dad. There's presence, patience, strength, leadership, and legacy. So for me, as an example, I realized I thought I was doing a great job with presence, but I wasn't. I was on my technologies and my kids were getting meta messages that I just didn't really care about them. And it took a really, emotionally trying moment with my oldest daughter where she was basically told me she doesn't think that I care about her because I'm not really all that present, to realize I had to work on this. So that's one thing that I had to focus on as an example. Strength. I feel like a year ago, I was a little bit too chubby. So I decided over the last year to have a weight loss journey. But of those 5 pillars, those 2 are things that I had to focus on. So if you feel that you want to elevate your dad game and there's things to improve, hop in the description, click the link, take the anchor assessment. Once you take it, you actually get a free workbook that's going to help you in all the ways that you can improve as a dad. So hop in the description, click the link, make sure you take the anchor assessment, get the free workbook, and start kicking butt as a dad. Now, the second thing that kids really want is to feel heard. So what does that mean? Oftentimes parents, dads, we feel when kids are communicating, guys are fixers. There's all the books, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, where guys are fixers. Women just want to communicate more, whether you believe that or not. I'm not saying I do or don't, but guys typically are fixers. So especially girl dads, right? There's a special place in my heart for all the girl dads out there, because if your daughter feels pain, is upset, whatever it is, like me personally, I don't know if I get triggered by that. I mean, I want to protect her and, help her in any way that I can. I don't necessarily want to hear the full, or I hadn't wanted to listen to the full story. I just want to fix it, right? But that doesn't work. It doesn't work with my kids. And I realize that over and over. It's just like I'm trying to hop in and fix it. And they're little and not experiencing all the world's problems yet. But it's still one of those things where I love them so much. I never want them to experience pain. But sometimes experiencing pain is necessary for growth. And that's just a human thing. So what I realize is the second piece that helped me become a better dad and do what my kids actually really wanted was I just meet them where they are and I listen and I don't interrupt and I let them communicate and I let them feel heard, right? So we have all sorts of ways that we do this, but the most simple is when they speak, I personally, as a man, big guy that wants to fix, I just take deep breaths. I ask them how they feel. How does that make you feel? And I just kind of ask open-ended questions. So my big strategy to do better at this, and it wasn't my superpower. I don't know if it's my superpower now. I'm getting better at it. I work on it every day that I'm with them, is let them speak and ask them open-ended questions that are very basic and just encourage them to speak. Because I found that just because I want them now to communicate and feel heard doesn't mean that they're going to do it right away. So there's so many times, and how many of you guys listening or watching that are like, oh my God, I'm frustrated, Andrew. I asked my daughter, how was your day? And she gives it was okay, Dad. And then that's it. And I think maybe she doesn't want to talk to me. Maybe she's upset at me. Maybe she doesn't want me to know. Those are the moments. It's just, remember, failure, guys. I talk about this in all my videos. It's not when things like that happen and your daughter didn't open up and communicate. It's when you give up. So in this specific example, failure would be you just stop right there. That to me would be a fail. to make that a success, you got to push and you got to push. And it's not easy. I'm not going to tell you my kids are the biggest angels in the world 24/7. I'm sure they're going to watch this and they're going to disagree, maybe give me a slap, but kids are kids. So I have found when something kind of gets in the way from a communication perspective and you're asking and you're trying, you're giving short answers, those are the best times, guys. The best times for you to lean in and press and press. Now, you're not going to do it aggressive. You're not going to do it with obviously bad language. You're going to say, hey, no, listen, like, tell me, I'm really curious. If they don't, answer at that point, hey, listen, I love you. I need you to know that. I'm so curious. And you just kind of elevate. Eventually, they'll open up. And I promise you, once they open that door, it's all going to come. They're going to unload on you. And it's beautiful and it's glorious. And it really builds the relationship because that's what your kids actually want. But many times there's a lot of pushback initially, especially if this isn't something that you're doing often. So I have found open-ended questions, and especially with love, right? Lead with love. I lead with love for my kids. Just like lean into them and slowly press. No, no, no. Listen, tell me. No, I'm just curious. And then, like, if they're really being cagey, ask them kind of like a side question. So, how was the dance the other night, or how do you think you played lacrosse? Just to get them speaking. And then once they start speaking, they get into the groove. They're going to open up. But I've realized that this is something that's so vital for my relationship with my kids. Oftentimes, whatever they said, especially if it was something that was problematic at school or whatever it was, I was just like cutting them off because I know best and I'm an adult and I'm just telling them the fix. Now I'm slowing down, taking deep breaths for me as a person, which helps me not interrupt them. I don't know if they realize the strategy they do now and when they watch this, but this has helped me in my communication with my kids. And I definitely recommend it for you guys because this is what your kids actually want. Now, the third, and it's so ironic, it's the exact opposite, is listen to them, listen to what they say, and oftentimes think, what if I did the opposite? Because they probably want the opposite. Now, many times our kids, when they look up to their dads, they love their dads, right? But sometimes their dads let them down. And it's really not a malicious letdown, right? You're not doing it to hurt your kids. But sometimes when things happen in life, you're not able to attend the events or you're not being present because you're on your phone, all those little things, you're actually letting them down. Now, it's not necessarily that one specific event is not going to lead to a massive, catastrophe. But if you think of deposits, I've talked all the time about love bank with your kids. Every time you don't do the thing with them and they say, no, it's okay. Because what else? What are they going to say? You think 7 and 9-year-olds are the best at communicating how much you're letting them down? No, they feel it. They feel inside. They can't put words to it yet. You're taking a withdrawal from your love bank with your kids. So just understand what I've noticed. The third thing that really helped me with my relationship with them, what they really want, is I almost do the opposite of what they say. And I'm saying, as an example, right? A real world example. Saturday, I don't have my kids that weekend. They're with their mom, and my oldest daughter has soccer. Sometimes there are things that come up in my life that require me to not be in the state or not to be around, or maybe I have another obligation or work. I'm not going to be able to make X. I have Y. My oldest daughter, super sweet, super, she's an empath, just like me, I would think. But unfortunately, what is she going to say? Okay, daddy, it's okay. I love you. It's okay. No problem. It's not okay. And I'm not saying literally if they say it's okay, that means it's not okay, that you have to go. Sometimes in life, obviously, life gets in the way of certain things. But that's why it's a deposit into the love bank. It's a withdrawal from your love bank with your kids. You have to be consistently making those deposits. But I've realized is that when things like this come up and my daughters or both of them say, no, it's okay, it's not okay. So I've realized when I hear that, it's almost like a trigger in my brain. Uh-oh, Andrew, slow down. They said it's okay, but it's like, it's probably going to get to them. What can you do to try to do your best to ensure that you don't do what you told them that you were going to do? It doesn't happen all the time, but there are so many things where it's kind of like a gray area thing. Like, hey, you're having this practice for dance, or you're at this, tryout, or, you need to be dropped off early, which is, again, for me, when drop off at school, it's the best time to build quality time with your kids. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. But every time you don't do it, it's, should you be doing it? Should you not be doing it? Every time you don't, the kid gets kind of like a withdrawal from the love bank, right? You're not making a deposit because they miss you and they want you to be doing it, especially if you could. So I've realized, or at least I have the perspective that every time there's something that I probably should be doing with my kids and then I'm not, and I'm not saying I make excuses, but there are some things that come up and I communicate it with them and they say, oh, quick, no, it's okay. I'm like, all right, it may not be okay. What can I do to the exact opposite? Because so many times I've realized what kids actually want is sometimes the opposite of what they tell you is okay. And that's just the funny thing is many times your kids, especially because you're an adult, you're bigger. They don't want to make you feel a certain way. They don't want you to feel, guilt and all these, various emotions. So they're just going to internalize it. Kids, it's very common that they internalize things. They're oftentimes going to tell you something which they want to, they're kind of people pleasing. They want to make you feel like it's okay, but it's actually not. So it's almost like I have made it a craft or an art. And when my kids communicate to me, it's almost like a knee jerk reaction, right? If they say something, I think, all right, well, what if? What if it's the opposite and they're just being nice and don't want to hurt my feelings? And if I can work on that, say out of 10 things I may have not been able to do or tell them I can't do it, if I can get back half of those, 60% of those at least, and get those wins, right? Make those deposits into the love bank, thinking I wasn't going to be able to do it. I have seen massive success now that I started doing that. But it's a funny thing, right? Imagine everything your kids say, just think the opposite, but I found that to be super successful. And that's definitely what your kids really want. All right, guys, we just went over what my kids actually want from me as their dad, the three things, and what three things kids probably in general from dads want. Third one was super funny and ironic. They actually want you to do the opposite of what they say. But I realized through the journey of betterment as a dad that there were so many things that I considered myself failing at, but I was so hard on myself, right? My thoughts, my cognitive thoughts, all the psychology stuff. I was really being hard and my head speak was super negative. So make sure, guys, you either watch our next video. If you're listening to our podcast, check out our next episode where I'm going to talk about specifically failure, redefining what it truly means, the word failure as a dad. So check it out. Make sure you watch our next video. Check out our next podcast.